So, okay. The first tier is ignore the Super Bowl tape and just give this man $80 million with a large chunk guaranteed.
Trey.
Trey Smith is the top free agent offensive.
You're only giving him 80 because I was thinking it's going to be easily over 100.
So what are you thinking? Like a 5-year, 100 million, 100,
Yes.
105?
5 years, $100 million deal. He would make him one of the top paid guards, probably the top paid guard right now. And that's what he's going to get, dude. Free agency is all about overpaying. This guy's been in several Super Bowls. He's been playing at a high level for a long time. There is no question he's going to be the highest paid guard out of here.
There's also Brett Coleman put something out, noted YouTuber who puts out great film breakdowns and inside football content. He put out a tweet yesterday saying the NFL is changing the way that they're measuring TV audience in 2025, where they're going to have a more, instead of using just Nielsen TV ratings, which is that's always been kind of a questionable system for measurement, that they're going to have a better system for measuring streaming audience, YouTube TV, people watching NFL content on streaming platforms, and that it's going to spike the audience with a true number. And in 2 or 3 years, you've got a couple other TV rights deals coming up. So basically, he said in like 2 or 3 years, the cap is going to skyrocket again. So you could see teams, if you're talking a 4 or 5 year contract, you could shove funny money accounting into 2028, 29, 30, and those bloated numbers are not even going to be a thing by the time the NFL cap explodes. So Trey Smith is going to get paid by someone.
Oh, yeah. Paid. Yeah. Dude, he's a hell of a guard.
And I mean, the market last year was set with Landon Dickerson at 22 a year, or 21.58 or something like that, and it's not going to go down.
It never does.
Every year, it just keeps going up. So I mean, he's going to be a 22 to 23, 24 a year type guy, and so it just depends how much you want to lock him down for. Is it a 5 year? Is it a 4 year? But I really think Kansas City's probably not going to let him walk. I mean, after what happened in the Super Bowl and the holes that they know they need to fix, it's always better to know what you got, right?
Yeah, but can you afford that? Dude, you got Creed, you got Thuney. You
got Creed, I mean, you'll end up paying, and you need a left tackle. Like, it is one of those things that you've got to have a lot of can you kick the can down the road piece of it, right? But Kelsey's going to have to take a pay cut, if not get cut and retire altogether. Right, there's some other guys like D-Hop and other bigger contracts on there that aren't going to be there anymore. So I don't know. I think they'd find a way to make it work, though. But yeah, he's definitely the top tier guard.
I don't know if Kansas, dude. Listen, there are too many teams that need guards right now that are just going to be like, well, how much is Kansas City giving you? We'll give you $10 million more a year. Like you and I both know free agency is all about overpaying, and for Trey to turn around and be like, I'll take a team friendly deal would be silly.
He won't take a team friendly deal. Like, they'll have to pay premium dollar for it.
But that's the thing is, I don't think you can physically pay him premium dollar and have Thuney and have Creed and have everybody else on this team. Like, there's so many superstars on this team that eventually a $25 million cap hit hurts.
They also need a left tackle. Like,
dude, they need a lot. Mm-hmm. It'll be. Isn't Jawan Taylor too up?
No, I don't.
I think he has 1 more year. I think he has 1 more year.
He's still making what, like 20 a year?
Yeah,
he is not up yet, because he's certainly not on my tiers.
No, he's not.
He's making a lot. That'll be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, no, he's definitely the top guy.
So speaking of left tackles, we get to the next tier, which is, and some of this is like just the value of being a left tackle and the money that you get paid. So the next tier is you can do a lot worse than us at left tackle, and there's 4 guys in this bin. Veteran Ronnie Staley from Baltimore.
Yep.
Undrafted previously left tackle for the Rams, Alaric Jackson, Steelers left tackle Dan Moore Jr., and Jaguar/Vikings replacement left tackle Cam Robinson. These guys are all average to above average left tackles in the NFL, which means based on your genetics, your position, and the fact that you can still play at a relatively high level, you're going to make $15+ million on your next contract, almost certainly.
Ronnie, definitely.
I think Ronnie and Alaric are the 2 safest bets there, for sure. You know, Ronnie's been an All-Pro before, multiple Pro Bowls, comes off of an offensive line that historically is always very dominant. He looks the part, right? Long, big build, super long arms, right? He's definitely if I'm picking out of that group, Ronnie's my top tier guy.
For sure.
Right? I don't trust Alaric Jackson as much as most people do. I think he kind of got thrown into that spot as a tackle this year with, Note Boom going down, Rob Havenstein going down, and he played well, but there was something that happened in the pre-draft process because he was ranked as a fairly high prospect that had him fall to an undrafted free agent. That stuff doesn't usually just clear itself up overnight, and now you feel super comfortable to go pay this guy $100 million to be your starting left tackle. If you're going to sign him to be the starter, he's going to want starter money. And so that one worries me a little bit there too. Cam Robinson, I think, is at his ceiling as a player. I think we all know what he is. He's not going to get any better than he is right now. But you look around the league and you go, if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, do I want Joe Thuney out there or do I want Cam Robinson out there? I want Cam Robinson, right? So there's definitely going to be a home for those guys. But I'll tell you this, none of those guys besides Ronnie really are making me excited that that could be our next left tackle, right? That's just not, it's not a super high tier list for left tackles.
And I don't think Ronnie leaves Baltimore. I think they're definitely going to be like, yeah, you're not leaving. You're staying. I know they have 2 people up. I think Mekari's up too. But there's no way that they can let Ronnie Stanley walk out that door. That's a different – you have been playing at such a high level because of your offensive line, and you guys run the ball so much, and at times the play action, that when you look at this, it's like, well, who are we going to fill here? Are we going to let him go and then just draft a guy and then have to teach him while we're in our Super Bowl prime right now? Or are we just going to roll with Ronnie and deal with it? In my opinion, if Eric DeCostra's smart, he's going to be like, listen, we pay this motherfucker now. Get this shit done with.
You structure his deal with it being the big cap hits 2 years down the road, right? Big money up front with signing bonuses, and then you structure it with big cap hits down the road so that you stay in your Super Bowl window for the next 2 years. And then if it doesn't work then you guys will have to either restructure or whatever. But I agree with you, Boone. When you're in your Super Bowl window right now for another couple years here, while Linderbaum's on his rookie deal, Roger Rosengarten's on their rookie deal, you still have Derrick Henry, right? And you have some other holes to fill. You keep him there, kick the can down the road, and if it doesn't work, then hey, we blow it up and start over in 2 years.
Right.
By the way, if you're enjoying these offensive line tier rankings, click the like button and the subscribe button on this episode of the OLine Committee. Appreciate you guys helping us get, I think it's 32,000 subs. Well, we had 1,000 new subscribers last week, so thank you guys for jumping on board here. Okay, the next tier is it's nice to have a 370-pound bus on your offensive line.
Yeah.
And there's one guy in it. His name is Mekhi Becton.
Don't forget about Daniel Falehi. He's in the
NFL, but he's not a
too.
free agent. Otherwise, he'd be in this list too. But former left tackle. Which, by the way, I know he was technically a failed left tackle, but he still has left tackle in his bag when it comes to negotiating. And if you have to move me to a tackle spot, right guard is probably where he's going to get his contract. Right?
Yeah. I mean, no, he's definitely right guard. It's not going to be left tackle.
I don't know. This one's tricky. I don't know if you can pay him top tier free agent guard money
because it's been a year,
multiple years, right? I mean, you're talking about
so
a guy that
PFF is projecting $10 million a year for him, which is half of what Trey Smith is projected to get.
I think that's probably safe for the starting point, but like Boone always says, you always overpay in free agency when a team has a desperate need. And his agent, I'm sure, is well aware of the teams that have a desperate need, and we will be knowing all about that next week when we're all walking around Indy, right? And those agents, our slimy agents are trying to squeeze everything we can out of guys. But, I think he's probably closer to a 15-a-year guy with just the need for offensive guards in the NFL, right? You look around, the Vikings are in desperate need of guards. There's the Bears might be losing
Jenkins,
their guard, right? Jenkins might be gone. You look around at guys that paid their interior guys, like Quinn Miners, had a really great year this year, right? So you're looking to stabilize the guard position because it's never been harder to play guard in the NFL than it is right now. With the pass rushers interiorly, the athletes that are becoming bigger inside, guys like Cansey from Tampa Bay, and you still got to deal with Dexter Lawrence and Cam Hayward and all these dudes inside. It's hard to play guard. You're looking to stabilize that position, and so you might look at this guy and value him as like, hey, he's probably a $10 million a year guy, but shit, let's give him 13 and just call it a day and stabilize this for the next 2-3 years. I don't know if a team bites on 20 a year for him though.
No, I think that's way too high.
With just the 1 year at guard, and he's had injury concerns almost every other year he's played in the NFL.
Can he play how in terms of like versatility of scheme? I'm going to get in the weeds with you guys here. The Eagles system, a lot of read option. Could Mekhi Becton go to like a Shanahan, McVay, KOC, more outside zone running scheme and thrive, or does it have to be something more specific to what the Eagles were doing?
I've always found that to be silly. Like, are you a power guy? Are you a zone guy? I'm an offensive lineman. I can do whatever you need me to do. You just got to tell me to do it. So I don't know that I've ever stood for that, but I will say I agree with Jay. I think it'll be somewhere around 13. I think a lot of people are going to look at that film and be like, this massive piece in the middle could shore us up, could keep us safer. Like, it's sometimes people think that like the bigger the guy is, hey, this is our big rock. And it's like, doesn't always work like that, but I do like the fact that when you move him in, it becomes a lot easier. Like a tackle, at times, it's very hard to run off the ball and go after people. When you're a guard, you're surrounded by so many people that you're like, I can just fucking run. I can just run. If I mess up, my center will be over here. If I mess up over here, my tackle's here. Whereas that tackle, it's a lot more pristine, and you have to be right all the time, or else you're going to get the edge cut short. You're going to get pushed into the backfield. I think if I'm an offensive lineman, I'm looking at this like, yeah, I really like this guy a lot for any, like, dude, if he ran a power, could you imagine his fucking deuce? He'd probably pick dudes up off the ground and just.
You know where he's going to go? Cincinnati. Cincinnati loves giant people.
Yeah.
They went and got Orlando Brown out of Kansas City. Last year they tried to bring in Trent Brown. Then they drafted Amarius Mims, right? They love giant people. And Alex Kappa did not have a good year last year, right? And he's a $10 million a year guy next year with a dead cap hit of only like a couple million, right? So they might just be like, listen, if we can get Mekhi Becton for $10 million and just swap him out with Alex Kappa, maybe we
huge upgrade.
That's a big upgrade. You know, that's what they're like. And he's a giant, right? They love giant people. Like that's just forever and always. They have just always loved big humans. So I could see Cincinnati making a play, but the other issue is Cincinnati has no money. And they have to spend it.
Well, they're also trying to
They
bring
have to
back
pay their own
other
people.
key pieces.
They have to pay their people, and they have to spend it to fix that defense because that was a problem.
Yeah. All right, the next tier, the Swiss Army knife of this offensive line free agent class tier, left guard currently, but he's played, I think, like 800 snaps at pretty much all 5 positions. Patrick Mekari from Baltimore. He started his career as a center. He played like 1,000 snaps as a center first 2 years. He's been in the league for maybe 6 years at this point. He was their left guard last year. He's been left tackle, right tackle. He's played some right. He's literally played all 5 offensive line positions. I think you probably sign him as a left guard, and then if the shit hits the fan and you got some injuries, cool. We got Patrick Mekari. We can shuffle things as needed. So he's projected to get $8, $9, $10 million a year too.
Yeah, and I think that's about right. And I learned this. I was on the lower scale of it, but I found out, in the NFL, the more you can do, the longer you can stay, the less you get paid, right? Because when you're not a master of one and you're a jack of all trades, like you're never going to get paid as the top tier guy. You're just not, because they look at you as a fill piece, not as a key player in that position. So unless a team honestly looks at him and goes, that is our starting right guard, or that is our starting left guard, or that is our center, whatever, and they say, we are going to pay you starter money, he's going to get paid a little bit less because he is that backup role, right? That support cast role. But those dudes are super valuable, right? I mean, not to like self-suck here, but I think that if I didn't get hurt, I could have played in the league really as long as I wanted to, just being a key backup player, right? A guy that had trust from the coaches, that I knew what I was going to do. I could go play all 5 positions if I needed to. Like, those dudes are hard to cut, And those are guys you want on your team because, as Alex and everyone knows, offensive line is a war of attrition throughout the year. And you want guys that can come in there and spot start for 6, 8, 10 games or 6 games, whatever it is, and not have this huge drop off. And I think Mekari is the definition of the, like you said, the Swiss Army knife, but it is going to hurt him with his value in free agency because teams will use that against him, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unless they see him as a starter.
Unless they see him as a true, starter.
Well,
which
and he is a starter.
Oh, yeah,
he's going to start. He's just,
yes.
And he was left guard last year. But yeah, to your point.
He started in a team, and they're like, yeah, he can start for you at left guard. They're like, yeah, but maybe he has to play right. I don't know. They're going to use it against him. And that's what teams do. That's the leverage that teams use. They use that kind of stuff, whether it's valuable for the team or not. They use it against you in negotiations.
He's the baseball utility guy. He's the Ben Zobrist from 10 years ago, Cubs, Royals, where
he's the sixth man. He's the sixth man. The sixth man award.
Yeah, right? Coming off the bench.
From basketball, he's the sixth man award.
Yeah. Okay, the next tier is the we may be old, but we can still fix your offensive line. And there's 3 guys in it. Kevin Zeitler, Brandon Scherf, and Kevin Martin. 3 guards.
Zach Martin.
I'm sorry, Zach Martin. Kevin Martin's the former basketball, former sixth man.
First of all, Zach Martin would be first in that group, and then Zeitler for sure.
That's Zach, fair. In no particular order.
But I wonder though if Zach is gonna come back. I mean, he dealt with some injuries this year. At the same time, he's getting older.
Held out too.
Yep. That'll be an interesting one, really, just because I don't know that I could see him wearing anything else but a star, too. He's had his whole career there. He was part of their legendary offensive line back in the day when they fucking had everybody. He's the lone man, the lone survivor there. And it's is he going to press on for another year? I don't know. I don't think so. But I mean, there's obviously a ton of respect with his name. Zach was one of the top dudes for a long time, and I've always heard that he's been one of the nicest, coolest dudes in the world. So I hope he does come back. If he does, his name will carry a ton of weight to get paid. Obviously, he held out, so it's I'm not doing this shit for free. You pay me or I don't come. I think Zeitler is another one who loved him in Baltimore, loved him obviously at the Lions, was a huge Zeitler fan, loved him when he was in Cleveland. I've always been a big fan of his, but the same thing, getting old. Are we going to command top tier money? Are we going to keep pushing this rock up the hill? I'm not really sure about that one either.
I don't think any of those guys don't chase money right now. They're going to want to be respected in the payment in which they receive, but I think all those guys are ring chasing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? All those guys are, hey, can I Zach Martin has to know, I don't think we win a Super Bowl in Dallas next year.
No.
Right? And do I have probably maximum 2 more years to do this at the level at which I'm going to put the product out there I'm proud of, right? It's not just about can I play. It's when you play at such a high level like those dudes, it's the product. You don't want to leave your legacy like an Aaron Rodgers crash and burning on your way out begging.
Because that's all they talk about. It's how you fucked up.
Because that's all you think about. Oh, man, yeah, he was a Hall of Famer. But, gosh, you remember those last few years? That's not what those guys want. So, I mean, you start talking about the list of teams those guys would be willing to go to. It's probably all teams that made the playoffs this year. All teams that they're going to look at and go, okay, they need a guard.
I know where he's going.
They're in their Super Bowl window, and we're going for it, right?
I know where he's going.
The team has to decide, do I want to go old and stabilize this position, or do I want to go young and go that piece? But you could probably get Zach Martin for 13 to 15 a year for a one-year deal.
Place Zach Martin. Is Zeitler going back
Philly.
to Lions? Where's Zach Martin to Philly?
If they lose Mekhi Becton, I could see Zach Martin going to Philly.
Easily going to Philly. Oh yeah. Are
the
you
only reason
kidding?
He wouldn't is because he wouldn't want to block Jalen Carter every day in practice.
He's not practicing.
Yeah, that's true. He only practices
He's not
once a
practicing.
week.